The shock waves from West Asia have now reached India's energy doorstep. After a direct missile strike on Ras Laffan Industrial City in Qatar, the world's largest LNG export hub is partially crippled, and the consequences are set to be long and severe. According to QatarEnergy, the attack has cut the country's LNG export capacity by 17%. That is not a temporary disruption. Repairs could take up to 5 years. The financial hit is massive, with an estimated loss of $20 billion annually. But for India, this is not just a distant crisis, it is a direct threat. India depends heavily on Qatar for its natural gas needs. Nearly 47% of India's LNG imports come from this single country. In simple terms, almost half of India's gas supply is now exposed to uncertainty.
And impact on us. The reason we are sitting here is primarily that we are affected by the supplies from the Middle East. इसीलिए रोज यहाँ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रही है और आप लोगों के माध्यम से जानकारी देने का भी प्रयास किया जा रहा है. वॉर है, उसका इम्पैक्ट भी हमारे ऊपर है. अगर हम एलपीजी की बात करें तो ऑलमोस्ट 90% ऑफ आवर इंपोर्ट वाज फ्रॉम मिडिल ईस्ट. एलएनजी की बात करें तो 47% ऑफ आवर इंपोर्ट वाज फ्रॉम कतर. एंड एनी impact there or anything which impact the supplies from Middle East impact us. So how we will deal with it? We are dealing with it in sense that one, we are trying to pick up the cargoes from other sources. Crude mein we have already diversified. Crude mein now around 70% of our crude is coming from the area outside Strait of Hormuz. इसी तरह LPG में भी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन की कोशिश की गई है एंड नाउ सम ऑफ आवर LPG इज ऑल्सो कमिंग फ्रॉम US. इसी तरह LNG के अंदर कतर डेफिनेटली एक बहुत बड़ा सप्लायर है, बट इसके अलावा देयर आर अदर सप्लायर्स ऑल्सो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल US, Australia, they are the other big suppliers as far as the LNG is concerned. So I think one question was regarding PPAC gadget notification. It is to give it a legal strength. So now everybody has to give the information. The PPAC was getting it, but now with legal force it will be better implementable. So that's the answer. Regarding one more question was about the Brent and the crude Indian basket. So Indian crude basket is actually is a complex formula, and it is derived basis how much sour crude is in, and how much sweet crude quantity is used in the country, and based on that the Indian basket is calculated. Pressure is there definitely, but till now there is no price increase. So that's what I can say. Thank you. See, I will, it was around like 10% of our demand should come. Originally it was anticipated by our oil marketing companies. So as much as we can diversify, it's not about US, from wherever we can pick. See, that's what I said. We were getting 47% of our supplies from Qatar. So if the facility is affected, it will affect us. Now what is the solution? The solution lies in diversification of your sources from where you can pick up the cargoes. That's what is the consultation. Thank you.
I'm not going to talk about what goes on behind closed doors, because the rules of the committee are very clear, and we want to preserve the fact that the MEA would want to talk to us confidentially, which they will not do if I start giving interviews to ANI about what they're saying. Let me then just speak for myself and what I see as the main concern. I think the first and biggest concern is for ourselves and for the region as a whole. There has been tremendous disruptions, particularly of the economies, because if you look at the fact that so much of oil and gas supplies have been affected, oil, petrol, diesel coming from the oil-producing countries of the Gulf, gas, something like 80%, I think about 60 to 80% of our LNG, LPG is coming from Qatar and the other countries in that region, and we're not able to receive it anymore, except in very small installments. A couple of ships come, that's 1.5 days supply. So we are not able, as a result, to be able to fuel our kitchens, our dhabas, our restaurants. You're seeing stories from all over the country now. The historic Nahum's bakery of Calcutta, which is not closed in 140 years, closed apparently for 4 days now because they have no LPG. This sort of story, people from Hyderabad saying they can't make halim because it's a slow cooking dish, it needs a lot of gas, and so on and so forth. Movie sets where the crews are not able to be fed because there's no LPG. So there is a genuine problem which has nothing to do with these countries have got a problem of their own, but it's affecting all of us. That's the first important thing. Secondly, there is a knock-on effect for all economic activity. If factories start slowing down, that affects employment, that affects purchases. You find oil prices have shot up. It was $64 a barrel for crude oil when the war began. Today, it's been alternating from 100 to 120. We're looking at a very serious situation of petrol inflation, which in turn has a knock-on effect on everything that is transported by petrol. So I just want to say the first and biggest consequence is for other countries that are not parties to the conflict. The second question that worries me is what is the strategic logic behind this war? You remember initially President Trump and Israel talked about regime change. On the second day, they called upon the people of Iran to rise up in the streets and take over their government. All such calls have stopped now. Then when there was a change in the leadership, they said, President Trump said that Mojtaba Khamenei was not acceptable to him. Now he's also beginning to realize that what's acceptable to him is not anymore the key issue. We don't know exactly what the desired endpoint is. I would have liked to have thought there was some strategic logic behind this assault. But right now, I think what many countries like us ought to be doing, and I've been calling on India to do this, is to actually take an initiative to call for peace. That is, to give both sides a ladder to climb down.
The damage is extensive. 2 major LNG production units, Train 4 and Train 6, have been hit. These are not small facilities. Together, they account for a significant share of Qatar's export capacity. Both units are joint ventures involving global energy giant ExxonMobil. The impact does not stop there. The Pearl GTL facility, operated by Shell, has also taken a hit. This plant converts natural gas into cleaner fuels and critical industrial products. One of its units is expected to remain shut for at least a year. The message from Doha is clear. This is a long-term disruption. Qatar has already signaled force majeure on several LNG contracts. That means it may not be able to meet supply commitments for years. For India, the risks are immediate and serious. First, supply pressure. With reduced output from its largest supplier, India may face tighter gas availability. Second, price shock. A supply squeeze in global markets often leads to rising prices. That could impact industries, power generation, and even household energy costs. And third, strategic vulnerability. At a time when global tensions are already high, India's dependence on a single major supplier is now under sharp focus. The ripple effects are global. Countries like China, South Korea, Italy, and Belgium are also affected, but India's exposure is among the highest. This crisis also comes at a time when the Strait of Hormuz remains volatile. Any further disruption in this critical route could make a bad situation worse. For New Delhi, this is a wake-up call. The need to diversify energy sources, build strategic reserves, and secure alternative supply chains is now more urgent than ever. Because this is no longer just about geopolitics. It is about energy security, economic stability, and national preparedness. In a world where missiles can hit energy lifelines, India is being forced to rethink how it powers its future.